Welcome back. I'm super excited to share this last session with Charlie Kelly. This particular episode will be about his ideas on what is limitless and some of the things that he has experienced in his mediumship journey. If you're interested in taking classes with Charlie Kelly, please reach out to him directly at mediumcharliekelly.com. Please find him on YouTube, Medium Charlie Kelly, or on Facebook, you guessed it, Medium Charlie Kelly. I suggest that you reach out to him specifically rather than me if you have questions about your own personal development or whether these classes are appropriate and right for you. He will be the best to answer the question rather than myself. Even though I am a huge fan of Medium Charlie Kelly, I am not Medium Charlie Kelly, and I don't know how he does the magic that he does. Please enjoy our interview, and thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting, and following. I appreciate all of you. If we're looking at limitless, what are other examples that you've experienced? It doesn't even have to be in mediumship or the spirit world that you can't question or that gives people an idea what limitless is
I
or
mean, I mean,
intelligence.
any kind of like restriction or conversation that we have on it is already applying parameters to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
In what's going on. So, like anything is possible. So, I remember I was reading for an African Caribbean lady in North London that was a nurse or something like that. I can't remember. And I only remember this because it was the strangest feeling I had when I walked into her home to do a one-to-one. And I'd never seen someone do it in the way that she had done it. It was a tiny little apartment, tiny. But from top to bottom of the wall was like photography of like her home people from whatever tribe in Africa and what was going on. And it was just all like, it was amazing photography, some of it. And I imagine it would be really vibrant, but a lot of it was black and white and they had special kind of clothing on. It was just, and I was, whoa, this is weird. Like, but anyway, I need to get my little recorder out that burns it onto a disc. And so I'm getting it all ready. And like, to give you an idea, there must have been a minimum of 200 like photos on the wall. 200,
Wow.
like there, that one, 200. There must have been, but there were so many, and they were all different sizes. So my OCD was like, oh, I'd have to buy all the same frame and line them up perfectly. But she clearly just was like, that fits there, that fits there, and so it had character almost. It was
Mhm.
weird. Anyway, I'd do my intro, like, thanks for booking reading and blah, blah, blah. This is what you should expect from me. This is what I expect from you. Are you ready to begin? And she was like, yeah. And I was press record. Right. Okay, here we go. So I have your dad join me. And as I said, dad, there must have been 35 photos just spring off the wall.
Like
It was like,
actually fell off the wall.
yeah, like sprung off the wall, like in my description. They just started spinning all around the room like some scene from fucking Mary Poppins or Harry Potter. It was weird. They just like all just went "Oomph," like a pulse,
Whoa.
and they all ended up on this laminate flooring. So it was really loud, and you heard bits break and like all these frames hit, and all of them. There must have been, I want to say 35, but for some reason I've got an alarm bell going off saying it's 33. So we'll say 33. There was
Okay.
33 of these all on the floor. Out of 200, 33 of them are on the floor. So it weren't all of them and it weren't one of them. It was 33 of them. Turned them all over, all her dad.
Okay. Wow. Just wow.
So,
That's like some poltergeist stuff.
but it's like, yeah, but it weren't like 32 of her dad and one of her uncle.
It was
It weren't,
only dad.
it was only dad. It was only dad.
Flew off the wall.
Yeah. So me being me went, yeah, that always happens. And so we carried on with doing the read. We carried on with the read, and I'm just picking these photos up off the
Oh,
floor, like,
oh
and I'm
my God.
carrying on with the read, and she's sobbing,
Yep.
absolutely sobbing with what's going on, and it's just like, and then just piling these frames up for her as I'm doing the read. So yeah, that's like one. That's one. So what is possible there? What could get a lot better than that, couldn't it? If I
It could.
allow it, if I allow myself to go there or be part of it. We've had things materialize like during a read or go flying or just load stuff, but it's like they're in the room. Of course it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
And
mean?
so,
So,
I mean, I want to ask, why does that happen with some and doesn't with others? Is like,
I'm doing mediumship, so I don't know what the others are doing, but I'm doing mediumship. So
but
it's
no, why does that happen with some reads and not with others?
well, it's a cocktail, isn't it? Is what it is of
The
what's going on.
sitter, you, communicator.
So there's a variable ingredient every time, isn't there? The client. So I think if you look at Afro-Caribbean culture, they're heavily spiritual.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like weird stuff that we would say goes on, but which is like a ritual or a ceremony for them. So I gave that space to take place, isn't it, with the variable of that of the client. What I'm not saying is you do this, I'm doing this, and not allowing that sort of to take place in any way, shape, or form. So I'm always allowing for that third ingredient to be it's always variable, always. There's never two alike. You're unique. 8 billion
Mhm.
people and you're unique.
Yeah.
So there's 8 billion variations and mediums develop one.
It
And so
really just nails in the point, doesn't it?
yeah, you're one short of 8 billion doing it wrong.
Does it need to be in person for something like that to
No,
happen?
not all the time. Not all the time. Another story sprung to mind, so I'll give you it. I got paired up with someone. My number was passed on. It was passed on. I better be careful with what I'm saying. Is this encrypted? It is, isn't it?
I don't
I think
know.
it's yeah. Hold
Got
on,
me.
I can just check. Meeting information is enhanced encryption, so we're good. I was reading for someone. My number was passed on. Blah blah blah, and I ended up working with a guy, and I ended up bringing forward a friend that was murdered for him, and he was like super happy about it. He was like, "Oh, this is the one I wanted," and I was like, "Cool, let's go." And it was very much it was a laptop. I was working with a laptop. So it's very much like I'm seeing you and I'm talking to him and blah blah blah. And that's why I had to check that it was encrypted. So I said, actually, do you know what? There's a government issue here. This is about your friend has been murdered over you. And he was like, yes, that's correct. And with that, my laptop went off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, no." So I grabbed my phone and I sent him a text just to say, "I don't know what's happened, but my laptop has just blown up. It's literally just will not work. It's
Yeah.
just gone." Still got it actually because it was just so weird. It just blew up. So I was like, "Hold on, let me go grab a tablet, like an iPad."
Yeah.
And I fire it up and I reconnect, make the connection with him again. And like, okay, so where did we get? We got with the uranium. And he has called a US government official with a Russian government official, but on video. Like, there's no denying it. And he was like, yeah, that's right. And the camera went off on my iPad. So I had audio, but my camera broke. And I was like, no way, what is going on? So I said to him, I'll have to go on to a hand device, third device, and the camera broke on that as well, wouldn't let me see him. Yeah, so my laptop, an iPad, an iPhone, all blown up in less than 30 minutes. And
Wow.
as I'm unfolding this, it's like I didn't even know, but there was a movie made about it, and
Mhm.
it was
I
like
know exactly what you're talking about.
and so I'm reading for this, and so I was like, "Oh my god, this dude's got my email, so and my phone number and my IP address." Like, oh, I'm in so much trouble. Here I am with this information. They've already killed one dude for it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And here I am
Absolutely.
reading for it. So yeah, and so like now I don't like doing things like missing persons because I don't know who it is. I don't know who's connected. I don't know what's going on. We don't know who's listening. We don't know what's.
Mm-mm.
So there's a bit of me that's a little bit like now it's not all about read after read after read, me. It's more
Mhm.
of the need of an individual. Can I help you as an individual? And go from there, which changes everything. Honestly, it does. Changes everything. So
Yeah.
I don't now get clients that are like, "Where's my man? What's the money? What's the?" I don't get clients like that now. Like the clients that I've got are like that they want evidence. They only want evidence. That's all they want to do from there. But
Did you stop getting the clients that want guidance?
not really. I don't mind an element of guidance if it's on the spiritual aspects. And what the clients don't like is when I go, "You're the problem. You're doing this. You're doing that."
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people, when they book a reading like guidance, they want to hear, "We found you. You're the diamond in the rough. You're the next best thing." Oh my God! Like, where have
Definitely.
you been? I think that's
Definitely.
what they're waiting for. And it's not the case. So I don't mind it. I don't. Again, what you got to look at is the bigger picture. So let's say Kira, for example, is a little bit stagnated. She's looking for a little bit of guidance. She's not really talking about private life, personal life, love life. It's more spirit, journey, this, that, and the other. Maybe that chat I have with you, and in 20 years' time, you've inspired 5 million people to go and do this, that, and the other. 5 million people because me and you had a chat. Then I don't mind doing that. I'll have that
Right.
because you're educating to a level that I'm trying to do myself. And you've got a platform where you've now hit 5 million. Then I'm down to have that chat. I'm down to have that. But I'd like you having a hissy fit because you've got another broken relationship, but you're not prepared to change for anyone because you're you and no, I don't want that chat because it's just
No.
gonna be an awkward chat, so do you see what I mean? So it's
I
like,
do.
we're right, I've got all the time in the world for an individual if their motives are tidy, their ethics,
Yeah.
their authenticity, and I mean, we can talk till we're blue in the face. I've got all the time in the world for that, but not the main character stuff. I'm not into that.
Me neither. Just really quick, the poltergeist stuff, it's not really poltergeist, but that's what people think it is because of all the
Yeah, yeah.
TV shows and all the stuff. And obviously there's a lot of fear around that, which we don't even need to touch on because I don't believe in it. But why does that happen? Do we understand why or how maybe is the
If
question?
it's intelligent, then I mean, if it's intelligent, then it's the spirit world doing it, and they're not doing it through a fear base. It's a love base, isn't it? It's an
Yeah.
essence of love. So
Yeah.
if and when things like that happen, let's take that 33 frames off the wall kind of moment. That was clearly normal to that woman in her
Mm,
own culture, her own environment.
okay.
Therefore, they did it, and they knew that I would be like, "Yeah, that happens all the time. Let's just carry on." So no one's harmed, no one's scared, no one's it's just
No.
aligned with the 2 minds that are in the room, with the 3rd mind causing the influence. So that's intelligent.
Okay.
If the cupboard door is just slamming, open, slam, open, slam, open, slam, open, slam, and it's got the guise of poltergeist, negativity, this, that, and the other. That is the individual within the environment that is doing that. So there is a
So
fear
if
base to
I'm
it.
the ghost hunter, whatever is going on television, if I'm the
Mm,
one that's walking in with all the stuff and the tools and the recording devices and all that, I'm the one creating it?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
well,
what's creating that?
in general, it's usually the individual that's within the environment. So let's as a common scenario, it's usually something like an unearthly animal. So they'll say demonic in some way. So
Mhm,
it's like a drooling teeth, something that looks like a dog, but it's not a dog, it's whatever.
mhm,
Or it's a man. 99% of the time it's a man. You'll have the odd one, the grey lady or something like that, but in general, it's fear-based of man. Now,
yeah.
most women are scared of the man, especially if they've got the backstory of violence or abuse or whatever. Their energy is just oozing this, "Stay away from me, I don't trust you, you're horrible, you're just like all them other men, blah, blah, blah." That's what will go out. There's only so much that can take before it over spills. And the overspill is what would be the activity, the overspill. So I'm fearing that I'm seeing a man in that room always at night. There is an overspill that at some point you're going to walk into that room and see a man because your energy is literally being projecting it, literally.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating.
And so I will walk into that room and I will see her fear, which means I will see the man that she's scared of because she's put it there. I can see it.
And so you're saying Charlie can see it. So if Charlie can see it, you can see that she put it there.
Yeah, because I can ask the
Okay.
man, like, "Who are you? Why are you here?"
Okay.
and he'll be saying something along the lines of "Get out." And so then I'll go into the front room, go, "Look, I saw the dude, and I know that he's telling you to get out. Are you concerned, like, about this house?" And she's like, "Well, when I bought it 2 years ago, everyone told me it was haunted." And so
Okay.
for 2 years, she's been fearful that this house is haunted in that one room, and it was a man that got killed, or he killed his wife, or something, whatever.
Right.
And now she's put the man in there that does this, that does that. Now, usually, with a little bit of research, which you can do, there was no murder in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, not all the time, but usually there's no
Mm-hmm.
murder, and it was just folk tales around the village or the place and blah blah blah. And she has put the man there, and he's telling her to get out of her house. So I
That
say
is
to her,
fascinating.
I'll say to her, "I'll take him with me. You ain't got to worry." So in her head, I'm a Ghostbuster turning up with my pack, aren't I? In her head. And I
Yeah.
take the man with me. I've told her that. So I say to her, there'll be absolutely no issues with that room now. I've cleansed it. I've saged it. I put a little crystal in there for you. He can't get back in, blah, 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 blah. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I'll go back in 2 weeks. I'll go and see that woman in 2 weeks. And I'll approach it as though nothing's happened, has it? And
Hmm.
I'll go, "So the room feeling all fresh and whatever." And she's like, "Oh, I love it. It's so good now." At that point, I'll then educate her that she did it at that
Oh,
point. So I have to stop her filling the room with fear, and then 2 weeks of her going, "He's not there. He really took it." Then I can say, "That's because you believe and you're filling that room that he's not there. He's not there, and now he's not there." So I've got to educate her in that you're the creator of your reality. You're doing that.
that
There
is the
is
perfect example, though, like a real
well,
example
that
of
is
creating your
every
reality.
every example I've ever done. I've done hundreds of these, and every single time, it's always the female in the house, always.
Really?
And the worst culprit is between 9 to 14-year-olds. They're the worst. But it's puberty, isn't it?
I think I
Yeah,
was like
they're
that.
the worst ones. They're the worst ones. But,
Yeah.
like, you'd if it's not 9 to 14, it's on the back of a trauma relationship, on the back of it, or menopause, yeah. So you'll go in and it'll be like an older lady,
Oh,
she's going through the change, her hormones are all over the place. She's fucking hot and cold. She's fucking
mental.
scared, midlife crisis, like, "Fuck, what am I gonna do?
Okay,
No
that's
one
me.
likes me, no one loves me, no one that," and now fear, fear, and now you've got the activity in the house. What a surprise. So I go take it away,
Mhm.
educate them, and everything fixes. There is not one. So I don't know, hundreds. Let's say I've done 300 just for the sake of it. 300 times I have seen what they're projecting and I have fixed it. 300 cases, 100% accuracy. And there'll be some fucking idiot in here that will put in the comments that they've done this, they've done that, rah, 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 with no experience and
Mhm.
no background, no nothing to go with it. At 300 out of 300 times, when it's a non-intelligent activity, it's always the person's fear projecting it. Always. If it's intelligent, it's love, and they're
Right.
never there to harm anyway. Even
Exactly.
the ones that have got monster stories in the background, in their
Yeah.
in evidence of their life, they're not there because they're not that person. They're their spirit, and their evidence is that person. They're not there to harm. It's love, it's purity. So in not one scenario, not one. So the most haunted buildings in the UK when I've been invited along on the TV shows, they've invited me
Mhm.
along and I've gone along and I've explained every room to the video cameras and not one of them shows has aired. Not one.
No, of course not.
Because I'm
And
not
so,
adding
but
to the
in your
hysteria.
explanation, you've said this is what's being projected.
Yeah.
This entity is being projected,
Yeah.
and they've never
Just got to
shown you.
find their reality. What's their reality at the moment? What's going on at the moment? Where is it? So, and then
Right.
I'll understand the projection. Ah, right. Okay. I know how to teach this person now. And then I'll teach them, I'll educate it.
I just think it's amazing that you can see their actual fear as an like a projection, like that you can see the guy or whatever.
But it's no different to what you're doing in mediumship, though, is it? Mediumship is just an intelligent communication. Whereas if I'm just reading your energy, all I've actually got to do is just stroke your ego. So I've just got to say the nice sounding stuff, and you're going to agree with me in what I'm seeing in
Right.
your psychic energy. So,
Right.
so it's just energy. So I'm reading energy. One's telling me, and one's just available. It's just there.
Yeah.
It's available. Psychic. What the other one's instructing me, like
Yeah.
here, say this, do that. Well, the room has been soaked in energy. This house is what 1830 something. If I
Cool.
set my attention, here we go again, attention to 100 years ago, and my attention is focused on that there. So I'm looking at 100 years ago, and I place my hand on the wall behind me. I'll
Hmm.
tell you who was having a conversation in this room 100 years ago, but I won't argue with it. It's like, wow, my mind's gone all weird, and like now I can hear this man. I don't question it. Of course, it's right. My attention's there. I've already proved it to myself. It's right, and then
Hmm.
I can go and do the research, and it'll be right.
That does get into the question, is the materialization from a fear in somebody's creation versus an actual materialization of seeing a spirit
Your mum,
person.
for example,
Yeah.
so someone you recognize.
Which I've never experienced. It seems to be pretty rare. I know you have.
Mhm.
What is that?
What is
Is
the difference?
Yeah,
Well,
I know they're
the
one's
projection
creation.
is not it's just someone creating their reality. It's just
Okay,
that's all
and
that
you
is. So
see the
it's
creation.
energy, yeah. So it's like and so people understand what it is that I'm saying is like you all know someone that's been a little bit like they're horrible to be around, right? Like they drain you. I think we call them like energy vampires, like a
Vampires,
fucking
yeah.
hour with them, and you're like, Jesus Christ, when are you leaving? Like you are a
Yeah,
nightmare. That's just their energy. It's just who they are.
mhm,
It's who they project, and you're very aware of it. It just feels zapping, and it's so moody and down. So that's just
yeah,
them. You go
yeah.
to their house, and it'll feel down. It'll feel
Yes,
moody. It's just
yes.
that's them just being them. So fear just being fear. The manifestation of an individual is the work of the spirit world. So conditions
Okay,
have to be set slightly differently for the best possible results to do that. So it's
and
an intelligence.
do you believe that some people can and some people cannot? I don't think you're one to believe that stuff, but is that true? Like,
I think if your mind, wherever your mind's at, then you have the availability to do that. If you don't believe in mediumship, then of course you're not going to be sitting there in the presence of manifestations because you're not giving it a chance. You're not allowing it. Someone that's willing to be part of it, then the chance is going to be greater in the room of that individual
right.
than it is in the someone that's like, what a load of nonsense. So I think it's available to anyone and everyone, dependent on mindset.
So it's just, again, back to the mind is the one that gets in in the way of your manifestations,
Yeah,
of seeing manifestations of spirit or anything
yeah,
for that matter. Any
yeah.
of these
Again,
experiences.
don't be mistaken. I know there's a lot going on now. I know there's a certain individual that's going about trying to destroy all the physical
Yes.
mediums and what, right or wrong. It's not my argument to be had, but there is a lot of fraudulence. There is.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
so I understand why she's doing it the way she's doing it. I totally get it. And
Yeah.
all of them people that she's going against does have a background of fraudulence
Yeah.
somewhere in their story. I
They do.
mean, it's their own fault. Like
Mhm.
you should have never brought it into the equation, and it would never be done then, would it? But getting away from that and the chance of it happening, when I was thinking spirit world every minute of every day and trance and physical phenomena and this, that, and the other. I'll never forget it. And there's just no way of making you hear me or believe me, or it's just one of those things. It's take it for what it is, take it or leave it. Like I don't care. It's my experience, but I'll share it with you. And I was thinking about manifestation, physical phenomena, trumpet work, this, that, and the other. And it was just every minute of every day, all of the time,
Right.
pumping it up,
Oh,
you know.
okay. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
giving it a chance. I'm giving it a chance. And I walk into a room with a woman, and it was like an open planned kitchen. So it was like a dining room and a kitchen area, and it just went its way through. So we're talking maybe 20, 25 feet of a run, like just of tiles and whatever. And I was stood at, she had to grab something from a cupboard. I can't remember what it was. She's reaching for something in the cupboard, and my attention is on the table. And this table's it's got 4 chairs, 2 one side, 2 the other, and it's butted up against the wall. On the end, butted up against the wall, and then it's got 20 feet to, like, between me and the table. And it had like, on a really hot day when you're driving down one of your really straight roads in the US, and you get that glimmer of heat that just sits on top of
Hmm.
the road.
Yeah.
But the table had that, and I was like, I'm perched against the door, and I'm like, "What is up with that table? Like, it looks like shimmering."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is that?" And then the table just walks over to me.
Oh my God.
Just
This
literally
is like
walks
Alice in Wonderland. Like,
walks over to me, but the woman that I was stood with, she had never seen anything like that before. So she was like, "Yeah, it walks up." But it was like, as I went to touch it, like, my hand went through it, just like I
yeah.
couldn't just weren't there. It was just like it weren't solid. It was not solid. And I was like, I'm adjusting my eyes, like, what on earth is going on? I'm trying to touch this table, and it wouldn't. And it was a rectangular table. I know people are not gonna believe it, but it
Who
was a
cares?
rectangular table, and I'm trying to touch it, and my hand's just going through it. And so I'm stood here like this, and this bows round me like a hug, the table. So this woman is like, "What on earth is that going on?" And I don't know, maybe it's just the way I am. I don't know, because I don't know why I do some of the things that I do. But I it hugged me, and I was like, "What on earth is going on?" Like, I'm looking at it, and I said, "I'm talking to the table like I'm talking to you." And I said, "But the real intelligence is you putting yourself back." And it
Yeah.
walked over and put itself back, butted up against the wall. And then I walked over and I could knock on it. And I was like, "Oh, that's good. Oh, that's
That's
good." And then I turned to the woman and was like, "Right, come on then, let's go." Because we were waiting for something, and then we just left. And like, nothing, we done nothing else about that. Like, we didn't talk about it in the car. It was just normal. Just one of them
wow.
things. So
Mm. I
so
know you have a lot of stories like that. People don't know these stories, but you actually have experienced a lot of that kind of.
but I give it the chance. I'm not like, "Fucking prove yourself today. You've got to
Yeah.
do it again. You've got to do it." It's just all embracing. It's not a thing that I'm doing. It's my life. I'm
Yeah.
giving it the chance. Now, that wasn't in a dark room, and
Yeah.
we didn't have a choir in the background making loads of fucking sound for the spirit world to come and do it.
Yeah.
That just did that, and that is one of many stories with the tables, of
Yeah.
what's going on. I'm not touching the tables, so don't mistake table
Yeah. You
tipping.
weren't doing
I'm not
table tipping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not touching it. It walked over to me. Do you know what I mean? So it's things like that. I don't know. There's another one, same house, same mindset, same time period. I went to do a dem, and I was running really late, and I was staying in this house, and it was like the spare room of this house. So it's like I couldn't do anything with it, or it was just
Hmm.
one of them things. Just a phase of my life, and what was going on. Like, broken home, and got to find somewhere, and this spare room and whatever. And I'm running late, and she's got to get up for work at like 7 or something like that. And I've rocked up in the door at like 1 a.m. from a dam that was 3 hours away. I've done a dam,
Jeez.
and I'm coming in, I'm rubbing my eyes, and I'm taking my waistcoat off and hanging it all back on the hanger and what have you. But I don't want to turn all the lights and that on. And so I do that bit downstairs. I take all the bits I can off. I get it back on a hanger, hang that up. And I've thrown a t-shirt on. And I thought, right, I really need to go to bed. I'm busy tomorrow and whatever. And I walk into the room, and I don't know why I didn't turn the light on. I don't know why. So if anyone asks, I don't know why. And I've walked into the room, and where I sleep is directly in front of me, in front of this door. And there is maybe 4 foot between the bed and the door. And I walk in, and I walk straight into like a trunk, like a solid ottoman trunk
Hmm.
thing, solid wood,
Okay.
absolute real heavy, real heavy. And I'm thinking, how the fuck did she get that upstairs on her own?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I was thinking. Like, how'd she do that? And more annoyingly, why did she put it in front of this fucking bed that I'm trying to get into? So I
Yeah.
tried to move it. It's too heavy. I just couldn't get any purchase on it whatsoever. It was just too heavy. So now I'm talking to myself in the dark, like, what a stupid fucking place to put it. So I've climbed on the trunk, climbed on it, and made my way across this trunk to get onto the bed. But it's pushed so tightly to the bed that I can't get the duvet up because it's pinned
Oh
against the bed
God.
and the trunk. So now I'm arguing, like, fucking, not only is it in here, but you have left me no room to get in the fucking bed, and I'm fighting with the duvet. And I finally get in, and I finally get into the bed, and I'm like, "Oh, man, right, I'll deal with that in the morning." Comes round to the morning, it's about 7 AM, I think, and she's down making a cup of tea, and I walk downstairs, and she's like, "Want tea?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on then." I said to her, "Fucking hell, I hope I weren't in that much of a deep sleep. I didn't hear you come in and move that trunk." And she went, "What trunk?" "What trunk?" And I was like, the trunk that was in the room last night, it's like 6 foot long, 2 foot wide, weighed a fucking ton. That trunk, like, how do you not know? Like the Ottoman kind of thing. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was stood on it. I was jumping on it. I tried to move it. I couldn't move it. "What do you mean you have it?" So now I'm like, don't start fucking playing mind games with me. Don't you start like making me think I'm fucking crazy. I know
Yeah.
there was a trunk there, but there was no trunk. And it would mean someone else would have had to have come in the room while I'm asleep for her
Yeah.
and someone else to move. Because me myself couldn't move it an inch. No idea what it was. No idea.
And you never figured it out.
No, well, they told me in a séance later on via someone else that it's my trunk. They told me it was mine,
Oh.
and, what was inside it was also my trunk, but I was too busy shouting at the ceiling to look inside it. So,
And that was you never saw it again?
I haven't seen it again yet. Not yet.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I just give it a chance, don't you? You give it a chance. Give it a chance to happen, so yeah. So, it's
Yeah.
just but it's like I was jumping on it. I was stood on it. It was solid, absolutely solid. So at that point, if they can put things like that in the room and take them out of the room, and I couldn't lift it, I couldn't move it, I couldn't slide it, it's like, what can they do? And it's
Yeah.
just like we're right back to the limitless. Like, it's just stop putting parameters on it. Just stop. It's like anything goes, anything. And if you allow that anything goes, and the mindset is anything goes, and that's where the real magic is. Not because you got their name.
Yeah. Oh god. It's not even that strong. Anything goes, but without parameters or expectations because
Yeah, or a lot of people, they have a misplaced fear,
right,
like they're gonna be hurt or something like that. So,
like
why?
Ouija boards. Like, people are
Oh,
terrified of
well,
those.
Ouija's just a brand, but spirit boards are very good forms of intelligent communication. Very good form if used correctly.
Yeah, and everyone's
But I
so
mean,
afraid of them.
cars are all right to use, aren't they? Unless they're used incorrectly, and then people die, don't they? So
Yeah,
but everyone still gets in a fucking car, don't they?
every day.
Yeah, so it's like it's the view they have of it. So the spirit board in its is a very good way of communicating. It's just that people with their stories are under the influence of 2 ounces of weed and 2 bottles of alcohol. That's the
Yeah,
usual scenario, isn't it? I
right.
mean, you give someone 2 ounces of weed and 2 bottles of alcohol and then give them the keys to the car, there's usually fucking carnage, ain't there? So
Definitely.
it's I don't know why it's treated any differently in that sense, but a very good form, but it's just misplaced fear. Yeah,
Mhm.
whether it be spirit boards, whether it be physical phenomena, whether it be communicating with the dead, let them rest in peace. It's this
Yeah,
misplaced fear wherever it is
right.
that will just remove the chance. Just remove it.
Yeah. Right,
Why
right.
are they gonna hurt me? Why would they do that? I'm doing everything I can to bring a standard and a quality back for the spirit world. But, like, what? Do you know what? We've got millions of mediums to go pick on. Should we go pick on the one that's actually working?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's not gonna happen, is
Exactly.
it? It's not gonna
No,
happen. So
definitely
I
not.
have no fear, 0 fear of what's going on. So it's not like I'm not telling myself there's no fear and then be a little bit scared.
Yeah.
I'm not there's no fear. There's 0 fear. And so I give it a better chance. And it's limitless. I know they can do absolutely anything. So I give it a better chance. And so it's just creating that environment for a better chance for it to happen. And therefore, it will more than likely happen to me than it
Yeah.
would be to someone that's like, prove yourself, do these demands, do this, do that, blah, 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 on a daily basis. It's going to present itself more to me than it is to that individual.
Yeah. Of
So,
course.
but again, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm special. I'm just saying that the environment I give it is one that is more aligned with it happening than it not.
And what do you think about the mediums that are going out on the television shows that have like studied in the way that you and I have studied? Do you think, because I see some of them out there doing the like paranormal, whatever they're calling these
They're
things,
idiots, aren't they?
investigations.
They're idiots.
Yeah.
Again, it's the me show though, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
It's fear based. Everything's fear based. But if I took you to a nursery, what would you call that? Kindergarten, a place of laughter, a place of coming together, a place of whatever. And I tell you it's that. You'll go in and you'll become giggly and childish and you'll be influenced by the surroundings of the environment. Like, do you know what? I feel really vibrant. Oh, what a day we've had. We've just been silly.
Yeah.
Now, let me give you a backstory of like horrific torture, murder.
Right.
And so you're going in and you're not the first party in there. They've been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
Parties of people going in and going,
Yeah. Oh,
oh my
yeah.
God, it's freezing. Oh my God, can you feel that cold space? Well, it's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
It's 7 degrees outside. What are you expecting a fucking palm tree to be in here with sunshine? Of
Yeah.
course,
They're
it's
always in there
not.
at midnight.
Yeah, well, ghosts
Yeah.
only come out at night, don't they? They're
Yeah.
busy,
Well,
aren't
that's
they?
what they think. So, yeah.
Yeah. So they've got spirit jobs to do, ain't they? They just terrorize between the hours of 12 and 3. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so hysteria's added that moment of embellishment, and I feed that, I give you that, and here I'm gonna build it up, and I build it up, and I build it up, and then you go in and you have that cold blast of air, and
Yeah.
oh my God, there's someone here. I mean, you do that at home, but because you haven't been given the backstory and everything else like that. Like this morning, I walked down some stairs and I've got a wooden door immediately at the bottom of the stairs. It's the worst design of stairs I've ever seen in my
Yeah. That's
actual
weird.
house. So you fall down the stairs, you're not just rolling out. You're gonna
In a
smack off
door.
a door as well. So it's really great design. But I walked through and I've got a duck that I'm 6 foot and they're like 5'10" or something, the door frame. So I've got a duck under the door. I ducked under the door into a spider's web. Mate,
Spiders.
in that moment, I'm a fucking ninja in that moment. Do you know what I mean? I'm fucking jumping round. But my brain's like, there's a spider on you. There's a spider on you. There's a spider on you. So off comes the hat. My t-shirt's coming off, and it was my fear that's doing that. My fear was doing it. It was one strand of a spider's web. One strand. And in my head, it's like a killer tarantula that's escaped someone's captivity, and it's like it needs human blood right now. That's what my brain's doing. And that's what these tours are doing. They just work with what they know how the mind works. And
Yeah.
I'll give you we'll meet up first outside. We'll have a little bit of a backstory. So, and I'm
Right.
just going to start
Yeah.
planting the right seeds. And the people that have got a quality mediumship development under their belt and then do paranormal like that, they need help, them people. They are single-handedly destroying what mediumship is through
Yeah.
popularity on something like that. Single-handedly doing that. And that'll get a few inboxes my way, but I don't fucking care. They
Doesn't matter.
simply are. Don't mess around with the thing that I love. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, it comes with a cost, though. I mean, if you're talking about surrender, belief, love, and light, whatever the things we're talking about, and then you're going and scaring people and making them believe things that aren't really there. But then, and over here, you're teaching classes about how to surrender. It just doesn't, none of that matches up, and it's
well, it
harm
won't.
being done.
Yeah,
So,
not just now, but for generations down the line. Like with a very a lack of understanding from yesteryear. You're talking about the pioneers in the late 1800s to the early 1900s to the mid 1900s. It's all very like we ain't got a clue what's going on. Before that, they were
Yeah.
burning people like us.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So we're not great, and but now we understand it a little bit more, and what goes on with it. That I mean, some of the ideas are ridiculous now. Like I work so much in my diary. I work so much,
You
and
do.
I'm yet to be hurt. Yet,
Yeah.
like
So they're right
15
there.
years. 15 years. Now, if in argument's sake, the devil, as people are talking about it, I'd be on his most wanted list, right?
Yeah.
Well,
You
no, we're
would.
like, we need to fucking get that dude. Like,
Yeah.
he is causing so much trouble. Let's go get him. And
Yeah.
I would definitely be a target above some people that are just, doing nothing at home, talking about a creator, a god, a love and light aspect. I'd be like on the top 10 most wanted devils hit list, wouldn't I? So, and yet you can't find me. I'm missing, apparently. Like I'm
Yeah.
locked in a cave somewhere out of his reach or out of his radar. So it's just silly.
Yeah.
Absolutely silly. So if there was a chance of being hurt, the numbers, the hours that I put in, I would have been hurt. I haven't been
Definitely.
hurt.
Yeah.
So
You would have been invaded. Your soul would have been invaded.
yeah.
On the other spectrum of things, what do you think of this side? What do you think this of the idea of like prayer?
Well, I love prayer. I do
Me
love prayer.
too. So I just wondered what you thought. Like, what do you think?
I've got a couple of issues with prayer, though. I do have a couple of issues because people, especially of the Christian background,
Yeah,
whatever angle you're coming at, is the
sure.
Lord's Prayer.
Right.
But it's done in a very monotone way. But actually, if you do the Lord's Prayer in the way that it's meant to be done with meaning and
Yeah.
heartfelt, there's actually a rhythm to it. So it's designed in the rhythm that it comes out and it is felt. It's an energy. And so it's done in the right way. But everyone just like monotone, just rattle it off because they were told to as this, that, and the other,
Okay.
kid, or they were made to go to church and stuff like that, that they know it, but there's no meaning behind it. In your prayer, whatever your prayer is, and the meaning behind that prayer, I will feel it. If it's done correctly, I will feel what it is that you're talking about or what you're setting your stage for in that prayer. Then I probably don't even need to listen to the words because I can feel what it means to you or what you're doing. That's the purpose of the prayer. So when I work with international students, when they're like German speaking, French speaking, whatever, and I'm holding an evening, I would like them to open my evening as the demonstration in their language. So I
Mm,
don't know what they're saying. Now, they could be giving me a flapjack recipe,
yeah.
but if they're passionate about that flapjack, I'll feel the passion
Yeah.
and I will feel it in the right way. So usually I get them to do it in their own language so I can feel what it is that they're doing without listening to what they're doing. So it's a beautiful way of working with it.
And do you think that we all have our own living prayer?
Yeah, I think people are not comfortable with it. Their fear of judgment, other people, this, that, and the other. I remember there was one couple. You probably know them, Kira. I was holding a residential in the UK, and it was a couple that had come over from the US. And there was three big tables, and there was I don't know how many people were there. Let's say 30 people there. So 10, 10, 10. And people gravitate towards their people and whatever. And I made a beeline for that to sit on a different table every single day, at every different meal, just to mingle around. Because unlike me, I'm not above the student, unlike the student, and therefore I go eat with the student and talk to the student. Whereas the schools that I've worked at feel very differently about that, and I know another school feels very differently about that. But I'm not special in that way, so dot around. And I started to eat my dinner. I just finished class or whatever. I just started to eat my dinner. And this couple, their meal was late for whatever reason it was. And then it turned up and they just stopped and they offered a prayer for their meal. And I felt so bad that I'd eaten, like, and I was
Right.
like, oh my God, I feel so sad because it was amazing. I was so
Well,
fortunate to be in the company of this person doing their prayer over
wow.
over their meal. that I felt terrible, and then I didn't want to just open my mouth and let the food fall out. But I didn't want to be eating and do it. So I felt terrible. I felt really bad. And I felt the need to apologize. Like, I didn't know. I should have known. I didn't know. And blah, blah, blah. And asked if they would do it at the next meal
Okay.
where I'm mindful of it this time and I'll respect their views and whatever. And they did. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Now, that was just in their food.
Right.
Some people do it as they wake up or before they
Hmm.
go to bed, and some people like me do it at an evening of communication
Right.
or whatever. So, yes is the answer to your question. Do you think there's individuals? Yeah, I think there is
Yeah.
individual prayer, but it's the power that goes with prayer. It's the power, it's the energy that goes with it. It's got to be meaningful in that sense. So,
The feeling.
yeah, it's an interesting conversation. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's that like reading or in the energy, the feeling behind it, the creation of it. It's all of those kind of things,
Yeah,
right?
you don't want it monotone. Like, you don't want to, because 20 years ago you heard someone talking about the animal kingdom, that you better bring it in, and the sick, and you better bring it in, and the war-torn countries, and you bring it
Yeah.
in, and the birds and the bees, and you bring it, and your prayers fucking 25 minutes long, thanking every blade of grass and
Right.
whatever. This ain't right. This is just gone too long. But enough of a prayer to set your motivation for the day, your attention for the day, or whatever's about to come in front of you, and you're doing that prayer for that reason. There will be a feeling that goes with that. And
Yeah.
that's the magic, that bit there. Not the words, not how it sounds. So just the way some people talk. Some people won't like the way I talk, but I don't put on a fake English accent, and I don't talk like I've been to elocution lessons or things like that. I'm me. I'm me. And if I'm offering my prayer, I will say it as I'm talking to you right now. I don't need to sound like I'm a class above you or
Yeah.
demonstrate a gold bar in elocution because I've put myself through that because I'm a higher class than you or
Yeah.
talk down to you. It's not like that. And that is judgment in every stretch of the imagination, however, whatever angle you're coming from with that. So I want to hear your prayer in your way, at your
Mhm.
event, at
Yeah.
your reason, and done correctly. It could be about something that I had no interest in, but you've gave me an interest in it because of the feeling you gave me because you spoke about it in a prayer. Yeah, super powerful stuff,
Yeah.
which I like.
Yeah. Me too. Okay. So that is going to wrap us up because I'm sure you have classes.
I do.
What
I have
I know
class soon,
you,
straight after this,
okay.
actually. So
Yeah, that's what I thought.
cool.
So if you're still watching, definitely go follow Charlie if you're not already. Like, comment. That's always going to help him. He's going to be putting out more not interviews. Maybe he will. Maybe I just said that for a reason. He likely will because he's pretty popular, but you would want to watch those videos. He's also always holding classes. It is difficult to get into his classes. They are also always sold out. So I'm going to recommend that you get on that waiting list or you talk to the admin soon because you're going to be waiting for a while. There are also in-person classes. We've got a few coming up in the UK, trance and evidential
Mediumship. Yeah.
mediumship. I don't know if those are sold out or not, but I
There's
wish
a
I could
couple of
go.
spaces through last minute cancellations through life being life. So there is a couple of spaces on each. So if they want any information, they can just reach out to admin for that as well. So mediumcharliekelly.co.uk.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to say is he's got lives that he does on YouTube as well
YouTube,
as
yeah.
yep. And
Yep.
I've watched almost all of them. You can go back and watch them. The
Hmm.
questions that are asked are always answered. So I recommend that as well. Anything else you have offered that I didn't mention?
Oh no, I don't do self
No, I
advertising.
know you don't.
So
I try to get it all in, but
yeah, yeah, I don't do that. And equally, they need to go to your channel and do your stuff. We touched upon it earlier, but a like and a comment it is not like an ego-based thing for us. It actually works with the algorithm. They can see that it's having interaction and whatever. So even just a little thumbs up actually promotes the video or whatever it is that you're doing because of that interaction that you're having with someone. The comment is another tick against the algorithm which does it. So yeah, and you'll notice that you Google like new shoes and the algorithm on your social media, every advert available for new shoes is the advert, isn't it? And
Yeah.
the algorithms for YouTube are exactly the same. So you talk about it, you like it, you comment, it then starts putting it on loads of different news feeds, which is what I need it to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll probably never get me to do that again, but there we are. So
Do what again?
the self promotion on.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just do my best to do it for you. But, and then the last thing I'm going to say is he is trying to get to the US for those of you who are going to ask, because everybody always asks.
Yeah.
He's doing his best. He'll make it again. He has made it before, but we're just not sure when at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got another appointment with the USMC, just waiting for visa in hand. And then from there, I will release dates if that all goes well. I'll release dates. So there's no one on anything out there at the moment. So that will be a first come, first serve basis as it's released. So you do want to be on the socials for any information there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because it's going to sell out. I guarantee it.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you so much,
No
Charlie.